Beginning on Data Podcast in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to day 14 of National Podcast Post Month here on the Odd Data Podcast, where I'm giving you bite-sized little bits and pieces of all of my random shit that I normally may or may not talk about on the course of a regular podcast. Whew. How you doing today out there, people? Oi. I gotta stop doing these so late. No, it's because I'm not working today. That's why I'm doing this so late. And that's why I've been behind schedule. I'm trying to catch up. Just had a lot of stuff going on. But I'm not getting into all that right now. Because after yesterday being kind of a sad episode, I wanted to do something a little more fun. And so I have a video game review-ish for you. Yeah. Does this count as a recommended? It's not recommended listening. It's a video game, but still.
Recommended listening.
I'm glad I finally found all of my sound effects for these buttons. I have been playing Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle for the Nintendo Switch. If the Mario part didn't already tell you that it was a Nintendo game. So, here's the thing. I bought this game for the boys when we got our Switch last Christmas. Yeah. Where my brother gave us, or got this for the boys. And we're like, okay, we know they're getting a Switch. We bought up a bunch of games. This was a relatively cheap game. We got it along with a bunch of others. And I was like, hey, it's a Mario game. That'll be fun. They never touched it. It's just because we had other games other games to play, and we picked up other games along the way, like Zelda, and we picked up Skyrim for the Switch. And so there were a lot of other games that they ended up getting into and playing, and we never really picked this one up. But I actually heard really good things about it, and so I was like, okay, the Mario Rabbids series was, regarded as a pretty well done game series. Weird, and because I know the Rabbids as, and that's Rabbids with D's, I know the Rabbids, they're like the minions of the Rayman series, basically. They were the little bad guy, toady, sidekick characters from the Rayman games. And somehow, much like the minions, they spun off into their own thing. And so then suddenly there's Rabbids games. And then they mashed up the Rabbids games with the Mario games. And it's really funny because they incorporate elements of both sort of series. The Rabbids are just like, weird chaos rabbit monster things. An emphasis on the chaos. And then Mario is, it's Super Mario. If you don't know who Super Mario is, then I can't help you. But they take all of these elements, and like the main story of this game is that the Rabbids get a hold of this machine, this device that allows them to fuse different things together. So this one Rabbid that's got this thing on, and it keeps fusing more Rabbids with different things in the Mushroom Kingdom. However the fuck it is, they manage to get to the Mushroom Kingdom. So you get Rabbids that are fused with Piranha Plants, and with Donkey Kong, and with all the different critters and creatures and whatever, and the different characters. So in the course of events, there were a few Rabbids that were dressed up like Peach and Mario and Luigi and Yoshi. So now, as well as you have Mario and Luigi and Yoshi and Princess Peach to play with, you also have Rabbid versions of them to play with. And this is actually a team turn-based battle, kind of like battlefield type game, where like kind of one of those like war games where you have your team, everybody has their weapons, their specialties, their abilities, all that, and you've got the enemy team on the battlefield, and depending on your mission, it might be escort this character to the goal, or you just need to get to the goal, or you need to kill all enemies on the field, or you need to kill 5 enemies on the field, whatever it is. But you're traveling through the Mushroom Kingdom and doing some puzzles and things along the way in the main world, but the gist of it is every area you go through, you've got a couple battles you've got to do against these mutant Rabbids that have different powers because they were fused with different things. And so you've got some that are like just really, they're kind of standard. I think they call them Ziggies. And they're just kind of your run-of-the-mill basic baddies. Then you got some hoppers that have extra jumping ability, and they can, because you can do things like jump off of your teammates. They'll lay down and hoist you up in the air and allows you to jump and travel further along in the battlefield wherever you need to go. And you can run in and jump on enemies or slide in and kick them out and move around and shoot them with bazookas and laser rifles and all sorts of different things. And every character has their own type of weapons and powers and things that they use. And it's very much a strategy sort of thing, because you have to go and navigate the battlefield. And there's the puzzles and the main overworld stuff is kind of filler, really. It's not as necessary. It's just kind of how do you get from battle to battle to battle. But it's really fun and interesting because I like turn-based RPGs, but this one is very different in that it is Mario and Rabbids characters, but it is a very non-Mario type of play, because you've got Mario and Luigi and Peach using bazookas and laser rifles and things. And the little sentry bots, which is like a little robot drone thing that explodes, and you basically set it on a target and it rolls out there and eventually it finds its target and blows up its target. Things like that. Not very Mario of them, but super fun, and it works within the. It doesn't feel like they're betraying the legacy of Mario by having them do it this way. And I was thinking, playing this, I was like, oh, this is going to be real quick. I'm like, oh, okay. Hey, I'm already at level 9. Wait a second. This is a Mario game. Nintendo and Mario games, they're not short. I'm at level 9. And I looked up some playthrough. I've been playing for 2 or 3 hours. And I'm taking my time because I'm slow. But I look up and realize, wait, this is a Mario game. Standard Mario convention says you have 8 to 9 worlds. So I'm at 1-9. There's at least going to be an 8-9. So I'm barely scratching the surface of this game, and I've been playing for hours. And I looked up a playthrough, and it was it was 15, 16 hours playthrough, and that's probably the most basic. I saw one review of this game where they said, oh yeah, in the early stages of the game, your battles may be anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes, but in the upper levels of the game, you might be going for an hour or 2 hours for a battle. I'm like, 2 fucking hours for a battle? Holy shit. And I'll say, my first boss fight probably took me 30 minutes to get through. Like, holy shit, this is a Mario game? Now, I will say, I have Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars, and I say it that way because that's the whole name of the game, and some people may not recognize it without the whole name of the game, but for the Super Nintendo, the original 3D Mario game, the boss fights in that game were fucking long. And it was actually a very similar game to this. This is probably the closest thing, now that I think about it, to it's a comparable game to the original Super Mario RPG. If you are familiar, the Paper Mario series was actually the sequel, the follow-up to Mario RPG. And they just kind of spun it off into Paper Mario. But this actually has that same feel. You know, you're traveling through the world, you encounter battles, you have to go through battles to progress, and you level up your characters, you upgrade your weapons, you upgrade your abilities, you add party members, you can kind of swap characters in and out of your party based on what their abilities are. It's really fun. And it's way more in depth than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a throwaway thing. And that's just the story mode, the single player story mode where you're doing that. As you progress through the story mode, you're unlocking different areas and battlefields and weapons and skills and things that you can then use in the versus mode, because it has a 2-player mode where you each take and build your own 3-person team, and you can even use the same characters if you want, but you can build your own 3-character team and battle it out. You know, last one standing wins. And it is way more fun than I thought it was going to be. I really did not think there was going to be much to this game, because I thought it was just going to be some cheap, you know, like, oh, it's a mashup game, Mario and Rabbids, whatever. You know, just like Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. It's just an excuse to put these 2 characters together. We're going to mash up Mario and Sonic. Like, oh, we're going to mash up Mario and Rabbids. Why? What the hell? Okay. But then actually playing the game, I'm like, oh crap, this is fun. And I got sucked into it, and I kept going, and I was up way too late playing this game. And yeah, I was up way too late playing this game and had a blast. And man, you gotta strategize. It is no joke. You've got to really like think about what your next move is and look at like, oh, well, I just used this weapon. That weapon's got a 2-round cooldown period on it. I can't use this yet and I need it. Or like, oh, if I bounce off this guy, I can then swing around here and take cover, because you need to make sure you've got cover, because if you hide behind a boulder or something so that if somebody shoots at you, you've got protection. Things like that. You've got to strategize every move you make, or you're just going to be left out in the open and die. And so it's way more complicated than I thought. But it's really fun. And I am having a blast. And I am barely scratching the surface of this game. I don't even think I've officially entered World 2 yet. I'm still kind of in the setup area, about to enter World 2. I haven't actually started it yet. That's the craziest thing. Holy shit. But, yeah. Absolutely. Mario plus Rabbids. Kingdom Battle. There's another one that just came out. Shards of Hope, I believe it's called. Let's look it up real quick. Mario plus Rabbids. Sparks of Hope. Came out. It doesn't say. I'm looking it up. Oh, it came out. Oh, wow. Actually just dropped like 2 weeks ago. And the release date October 2022. So yeah, this just came out. So the sequel to this, it's actually looks like it's kind of got some Mario Galaxy vibes going on. So after we get through this, I might have to check that one out. But yeah, if you are in the mood for some, I've heard it described as a combination of Mario, Rabbids, and XCOM. If you ever played that game, I'm not familiar with that series, but not my style of game. But if you are into that sort of thing, I strongly suggest checking out Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle or Sparks of Hope. I'm sure it'll be a pretty good follow-up for the Nintendo Switch. But in the meantime, hit the music. We're doing the thing. Remember, you can find me at oddadoutpodcast.com. I gotta drop that in there every few days. Odd Dad Out on all the social medias. And If you have any questions for me or recommendations or any ideas, anything you want to talk to me about or want me to talk about, or maybe you want to talk to me on the show, hell, why not? Hit me up. Odd Dad Out on all the socials, show at oddadoutpodcast.com. And until tomorrow, oddballs, thank you and good night.